So for the very first time, Apple included an anti-reflective coating on their iPhone 17 Pro Max. And if you think all screen protectors are the same, think again. If you get the wrong type of screen protector for your phone, you will lose the anti-reflectiveness of your iPhone 17 screen. Well, in this video, we're going to be testing out what I think might be some of the best anti-reflective screen protectors and camera lens protectors for your iPhone 17 Pro Max made by FLOLAB. I'm going to go through each screen protector to help you figure out which one is perfect for you. I'm going to go through the full installation. We're going to see how they fit, how they feel, how good the anti-reflective coating is, and I'm also going to test out their durability with a drop and a scratch test. So let's get into it. And the very first thing we're going to take a look at are the anti-reflective camera lens protectors. These come in 3 different colors to go along with each color of your phone. I've got orange, silver, and there's also a deep blue. So no matter what phone you have, one of these camera lens protectors will go along perfectly with the color of your phone. I particularly am going to use the orange because I've got an orange phone. And here are the 3 different colors. We've got the orange, we've got the deep blue, and we've also got the silver. And it's super easy to install these camera lens protectors. The first thing you need to do is to thoroughly clean off your lenses on the back of your phone with the included alcohol wipe. Then dry off the back of your phone thoroughly, and when you're done wiping it off, make sure you leave about maybe 1 to 2 minutes extra for all the liquid to totally dry. Then take one of your lens protectors, you're going to orient it in this configuration right here to kind of line up with all of your camera lenses. Then you just peel off the back protector and then push this down over the top of your lenses. Then just lift up on the guide and you're all installed. Make sure you keep this because this little part here will help you remove your camera lens protectors if you need to. So let's take a look at the phone here. You can see that the lenses here now fit the orange on my phone perfectly. Looks like it's OEM, and it doesn't add any extra bulk to your phone either, which is definitely a plus. Looks really sharp. And again, these lenses do have an anti-reflective coating on them to help keep down that reflection. They're also smudge resistant as well, so if you happen to touch them with your fingers, you shouldn't get a lot of smudges on the glass. I think that looks really nice. And then here we have the FLOLAB ONETIME Pro Privacy Glass. This tempered glass does have an anti-reflective coating, and it's also got a 3D infinity edge, which I'll show you why is important in just a minute. And it's also smudge resistant. So we get one easy install tempered glass screen protector with a guide, a squeegee, and some installation tools. Once you've cleaned off your glass, just take your tempered glass screen protector, making sure where it says top is going towards the camera on your phone, and just press this down over the top of your phone like this. Then hold down with one hand and pull out the tab with the other. Slide your finger down the middle from the top to the bottom of the screen and wait about 20 seconds. Once that's done, lift up on the guide, and we'll take a look at our screen. So it does look like we have a couple big bubbles in the corner here, so I'm just going to use my squeegee to get those out. So I did have to use a combination of lifting up very carefully on the screen along with the squeegee to get those bubbles out, but once I did that, the installation looks beautiful. No other bubbles, no lifting, no dust, just looks perfectly installed. You can see that this is a full coverage screen protector. It does have a cutout for your dynamic island, and the edges are also rounded off. And remember, like I said before, it had the 3D infinity edge. The screen protector pretty much follows the curve of your phone screen, and it comes almost right up to the edge, just leaves a little bit for case compatibility, which we will test out in just a few minutes. As far as feels nice and smooth, just like the glass that's on the phone. And for fingerprints, it does pick up some smudges on the screen that you can see there, but because it has the oleophobic coating on it, you can wipe those away pretty easily. And you can already see that anti-reflective coating working out pretty well. So let's test out our Face ID. Face ID is working fine. Now you can see that the phone screen is a little bit dim, and that happens with every privacy screen out there. So the only thing you need to do is to raise up your brightness, and the screen looks perfect. Nice and clear, and touch is also working beautifully as well. No issues there. Let's test out our front camera. Front camera looks nice and clear. Don't see any issues there either. And let's take a look at the screen as if we were looking at it through polarized sunglasses. And you can see there's only a slight bit of a rainbow. And if you twist and turn it, it does get a little bit worse. But if you're looking at it dead on, this is what you can expect. Not too bad, just a slight tinge of blue. So now let's take a closer look at the 3D Infinity Edge and why you want it. So if we take a close look in the corner here, you can see how the Infinity Edge is rounded off and it kind of follows the edge of your phone, but still leaves a little bit for case compatibility. And that's exactly what you want. Another great thing about the 3D Infinity Edge is some of the other screen protectors have a lot of light bleed on the side of the screen, and the FLOLAB 3D Infinity Edge cuts down tremendously on that. So if we take a look at our edge here, you can't really see the screen because of the privacy, but if we look closely at the edge, you can only see a very slight bit of light coming through the edge here. So if you like to go caseless on your phone and you don't want that light bleed, I would definitely recommend going with the 3D Infinity Edge. Now, another thing that's very important is alignment for screen protectors. And if we take a look at our camera here, you can see that in all four of the corners, you can clearly see those white L's. Some of the other tempered glass screen protectors out there come too far in on the screen and actually cut it off, whereas the FLOLAB, you can clearly see that it's not cutting off any part of your screen. And that's definitely important. Now let's take a look at the privacy feature and the AR screen. So if you're looking dead on at your screen, you can see it very easily, but if there's somebody sitting off to your side, they're not going to be able to see your screen at all. It just disappears into the blackness. That is so cool. But the only thing is, it only works left to right. It doesn't work up and down. But it does work really well for left and right. And then if we turn on the phone screen, you can see what the anti-reflective coating looks like versus the regular AR on the iPhone 17 screen. You can easily see the screen more easily on the FLOLAB versus the anti-reflective coating that comes on the iPhone 17. And then let's test out our case compatibility. And if you're wondering, this is a Rinky Rugged Gear case, and it looks like the tempered glass almost comes right up to the edge of the case, but there's no lifting, no bubbles. There's just a very slight gap for the case compatibility. So if you're going to be using another case with the screen protector, it should fit most cases. And we also have the camera lens protectors on the back that fit this case perfectly as well, even though it does have a full coverage camera protector on the back of the case. So everything's looking good for this screen protector so far. Now let's move on to the scratch and the drop test. So we're going to start off our test by dropping a 2.4 ounce steel metal ball at a starting height of 2 feet. If the screen protector doesn't crack, we'll move it up foot by foot until it eventually does. So here we go, 2 feet. Moving on to 3 feet. 3 feet. So this screen protector lasted up until a 3-foot drop. Now let's move on to the scratch test. So regular tempered glass starts to scratch around a Mohs hardness number 6, so we're going to start off with the number 5. Then we'll move on to a number 6. And then finally a number 7. And if we take a closer look, you can see that there are no scratches at the number 5. There are slight at a number 6 and a little deeper at a number 7. So scratch resistance is standard for tempered glass. So installation for the screen protector was pretty easy. It also does seem to be perfectly aligned on my phone screen. The anti-reflective coating is excellent on the screen protector. It also does seem to be case friendly. It lasted up until a 3-foot drop, and scratch resistance is standard for tempered glass. Then here we have the FLOLAB ONETIME Pro Clear Tempered Glass Screen Protector. This screen protector does have polar spectra and anti-reflective coating along with being smudge resistant. This comes with one tempered glass screen protector with an installation guide, a squeegee, and some installation tools. So once you've cleaned off your screen, take your tempered glass screen protector, making sure that where it says top is going towards the camera on your phone, and just place this over the top of your phone and press it gently down into place. Hold down on the screen protector with one hand and pull out the little tab with the other. Slide your finger down the middle of the screen protector and wait about 20 seconds. Then lift up on the guide. And we'll take a look at our phone. So it does look like we have some pretty big bubbles on our screen. So we'll use our squeegee to kind of get those out. So I did have to use the squeegee along with kind of lifting up the screen protector very carefully to get those bubbles out. But once I did, it looks absolutely amazing. You can see that it does have a slight gap all the way around the phone for case compatibility. The edges are also rounded off. It also does have the anti-reflective coating on it. And as far as feels nice and smooth, just like the glass that's on the phone. And for clarity, you can see how clear the screen is even with the screen protector on it. Touch working perfectly. As far as smudges, it does pick up some slight smudges on the screen, but you can very easily wipe those away with minimal effort because of the oleophobic coating. This is also a full coverage screen protector, so it does cover your camera, but it doesn't have any effect on the clarity of the camera either. Looks pretty good. Now let's take a look at our screen as if we were looking at it through polarized sunglasses. And you can see because of the polar spectra, you don't see that rainbow. So if you're going to be using any polarized sunglasses, I would definitely recommend picking up one of the screen protectors that have the polar spectra coating on it. Now let's take a look at the alignment on our screen. And you can see here that some of the L's are kind of a little disappearing in the corners. And if I kind of lift it up, you can then see it. So the screen protector does seem to be a little bit misaligned on the screen. It's not horrible, but it's just something to keep in mind. I don't think you're going to lose any significant portion of your screen, but it does seem to be just ever so slightly misaligned on some of the corners. Now let's put our phone inside our case. Seems to fit perfectly. There does seem to be a very slight gap all the way around the phone, so there's no lifting, no bubbles. So if you're going to be using this with a case, it should be compatible with most cases. And again, if we take a look at both of our screens here, you can see the FLOLAB on the left, how much that reflects the studio lighting versus the cheaper tempered glass screen protector on the right that shows all the reflection. And you can see how much the anti-reflective coating helps you still see your screen even in a bright light. I don't know about you, but I'd rather go with the FLOLAB with the anti-reflective coating. So everything's looking pretty good for the screen protector so far. Now let's move on to the scratch and the drop test. All right, here we go, 2 feet. Moving on to 3 feet. 4 feet. 4 feet. So this screen protector lasts up until a 4-foot drop. Now let's move on to the scratch test. We're going to start off our test with the number 5. Then we'll move on to a number 6. And then finally number 7. And if we take a closer look, you can see that there are no scratches at the number 5. There are ever so slight at the number 6 and about the same for the number 7. And even though it still does scratch at a number 6, it seems to be a little bit more resistant than regular tempered glass. So installation for the screen protector, even though it comes with a guide, it could have been a little bit easier without dealing with those bubbles. There also does seem to be a very slight misalignment on the screen, but the anti-reflective coating is some of the best that I've seen. It lasts up until a 4-foot drop, and scratch resistance seems to be standard for tempered glass, but it seems to scratch less than regular tempered glass does. And then here we have the FLOLAB ONETIME Max. This is a clear anti-glare tempered glass screen protector, which means it's got a matte coating on it. It also does have polar spectra to keep down those rainbows, and it's also fingerprint resistant. Once you've cleaned off your screen, take your installation guide, making sure where it says top is going towards the top camera of your phone, and just put this over the top of your phone and gently press it into place. Then hold down on the guide with one hand and pull out the tab with the other. And then slide your finger from the top all the way down the middle of the screen. And wait 20 seconds. Then lift up on the guide. And we'll take a look at our screen here. So it does seem like we have some bubbles on the screen. So I'll try to use a squeegee to get those out. So I did have to use the squeegee and lift up on the screen a little bit to get rid of those bubbles, but after I did, screen looks really good. It is a full coverage screen protector. You can already see how much it keeps down the glare from my studio lighting. We do have a clear piece for our camera and dynamic island. The edges are also rounded off, and as far as the feel, like silk. It's probably slicker than the glass that's actually on the iPhone, which is pretty nice. It also does keep down those fingerprints. So you can see there's not a lot of smudging on the screen, and the little bit that there is, you can just very easily wipe away. Looks perfect. Let's check out our Face ID. Face ID working fine, and you can see how clear the screen still is. It's got that nice matte look to it. Touch working perfectly. Nice and smooth. I absolutely love that. The matte glass is one of my favorite FLOLAB screen protectors just because of the way that it feels. I absolutely love that. See, all the colors are nice and vibrant. So let's take a look at our camera here. Nice and clear. Don't have any issues with that because the piece with the camera is totally clear. Now let's take a look at the screen as if we were looking at it through polarized sunglasses. And as you can see, you don't really see a rainbow effect because this screen protector does have polar spectra. So if you're going to be using polarized sunglasses, I would recommend getting one of FLOLAB's screen protectors that does have the polar spectra. Works really well. Then let's check out the screen protector alignment by checking out our camera. And if we take a closer look, for the most part, you can see the little L's in the corners. It's just this one over here that's just ever so slightly kind of cut off. And if I kind of lift it up, you can see it a little more. So the alignment on this screen protector is pretty good. It's just there's a very small bit of misadjustment, or misalignment rather. And again, this screen versus a regular cheap tempered glass screen protector, you can see how much the anti-glare keeps down that glare from my studio lighting. I know I said it before, but I absolutely love the anti-glare feel. If you've never felt an anti-glare matte screen protector, you are going to love the way that your finger just effortlessly glides across the screen. It's just so smooth. I absolutely love it. Then let's put it in our case here. And it looks like it fits the case perfectly. Just a slight gap all the way around the screen for case compatibility. No lifting, no bubbles. So if you're going to be using a screen protector with a case, it should be compatible with most cases. So I'm loving everything about the screen protector so far. Now let's move on to the scratch and the drop test. All right, here we go, 2 feet. Moving on to 3 feet. 4 feet. 5 feet. 6 feet. 6 feet. So this screen protector lasted up until a 6-foot drop. Now let's move on to the scratch test. So we're going to start off our test with a number 5. Then I'll move on to a number 6. And then finally, number 7. And if we take a closer look, you can see that I can't tell if that's a smudge. Let me see. So it doesn't look like there's any scratches at the number 5. There are very light at the number 6 and just a slight bit deeper at a number 7. So scratch resistance is standard for tempered glass. So installation for the screen protector could have been a lot better without all the bubbles on it. As far as the screen protector alignment, that seems to be pretty good. The screen protector is super smooth and the anti-glare coating does its job. It lasted until a 6-foot drop in scratch resistance. Even though it scratches at a number 6, it's super light. So it seems to be just a little bit better than regular tempered glass. And then here we have the FLOLAB ONETIME clear tempered glass screen protector. This screen protector does not have polar spectra, it doesn't have an anti-reflective coating, but it does help keep down fingerprints with its oleophobic coating. And with this one we get 2 tempered glass screen protectors with an installation guide, a squeegee, and some installation tools. So once you've cleaned off your phone screen, take your installation guide, making sure where it says top goes towards the camera on your phone, and just press this over the top of your phone gently into place. Then hold down on each side of the guide and pull out the tab with the other. Now we've already seen what the screen protector does if you run your finger up the middle, so I'm not going to do that now. It just seems to already be trying to adhere to the screen. You can see right there, and it seems to be moving kind of slow up the screen. It says wait 20 seconds. But I'm going to help it along just a little bit here. You can see now that it's moving. And we'll see if that worked out any better. So we'll remove the guide. And we'll take a look at the screen. So it does look like we have less bubbles. We just have one bubble right there instead of all the other bubbles. So that seemed to have worked out a lot better. So I'm going to try to get this out by gently lifting the screen and using the squeegee. So it seems like after I got rid of that one bubble, installation looks really good. I don't see any other bubbles, no lifting. This is also a full coverage screen protector, so it does cover your front cameras. The edges are rounded off very nicely. Looks pretty good on the phone. As far as the feels nice and smooth, just like the glass that's on the phone. And as far as fingerprints, it does pick up some smudges, but very minimal, and they're very easy to wipe away because of the oleophobic coating. Let's check out our Face ID. Face ID works fine, and you can see how the screen is crystal clear. Touch working good as well, and you can see because of that, it does not have an anti-reflective coating. It shows my studio lights reflecting on the screen. Let's take a look at our front camera. Front camera looks super clear. Very nice, no issues there. Let's check out the screen as if we're looking at it through polarized sunglasses. Now this screen does not have the polar spectra, so if you're using polarized sunglasses, you will get a little bit of a rainbow effect. But if you're looking at it dead on, this is what you can expect. Now let's take a look at the alignment of the screen protector. So you can see these little L's in the corners, but in this one little corner, it's kind of off a little bit. But if I twist it up, you can see it a lot better. So it's just ever so slightly a little bit misaligned on the screen, but for the most part, you're getting your full screen on the phone. Let's put it in our case. Fits the case perfectly. Don't see any lifting, any bubbles. There's just a very slight gap on the top and the bottom of the phone, and it comes pretty much right up to the edge of the case here. So if you're going to be using this with other cases, it may be case friendly with other cases, but you're going to have to try it out because the fit is so tight. So everything's looking pretty good for this screen protector so far. Now let's move on to the scratch and the drop test. All right, here we go at 2 feet. Moving on to 3 feet. 4 feet. 5 feet. 6 feet. 'There was a little mark on the screen, but it's not cracked yet, so I'm going to keep going. 7 feet. 7 feet. All right, this screen protector lasted up until a 7-foot drop. Now let's move on to the scratch test. So we're going to start off our test with a number 5. Then we'll move on to a number 6. Finally, a number 7. And if we take a closer look, you can see that there are no scratches at the number 5. There are slight at a number 6 and a little deeper at a number 7. So scratch resistance is standard for tempered glass. So installation for the screen protector was a little bit better than some of the others. It does also seem to have a slight misalignment when it was on my screen. It lasted up until a 7-foot drop, and scratch resistance is standard for tempered glass. And then here we have the FLOLAB ONETIME Max with Blueshield and an antimicrobial coating. So if you like to look at your phone at night, this will block out the blue light, keeping you up at night. And this also does have an oleophobic coating. This comes with one tempered glass screen protector, a squeegee, and some installation tools. So after you've cleaned off your screen, take your installation guide with the top pointing towards the camera on your phone, and just put this over the top of your phone and press it down into place gently. Hold down on the guide on the sides with one hand and pull out the tab with the other. It should start to adhere to your screen on its own. And if it stops, you can gently help it with one finger. Then lift up on the guide. And we'll take a closer look here. So it does look like we have a bubble down at the bottom and maybe on the sides. So I'll use a squeegee to get that out. So I was able to get those bubbles out with the squeegee and very carefully lifting up on the screen protector, but after that, everything looks pretty good. You can see that this screen protector does not have an anti-reflective coating. The edges are also rounded off. As far as the feel, feels nice and smooth, just like the glass that's on the phone. And as far as fingerprints, it does seem to pick up some slight smudges on the screen, but because of the oleophobic coating, you can very easily wipe those away with minimal effort. This is also a full coverage screen protector as well. And if we check out our Face ID works fine. You can see that the screen is nice and clear. Touch working perfectly as well. Let's check out our camera. Camera looks nice and clear. No issues there. Let's take a look at the screen as if we were looking at it through polarized sunglasses. And you can see the screen does have a slight rainbow effect depending on how you twist and turn the phone. And if you're looking at it dead on, this is what you can expect, like a slight bluish tinge. And let's take a look at the alignment on this screen. So if we take a closer look here, you can see in the bottom corners, you can still see the slight L's, but on the top, they do seem to be cut off. So the alignment on this screen protector is slightly misaligned. So you're going to be getting just a tiny bit of the screen cut off, but not very much. Now let's put our phone inside of a case. So it fits the phone perfectly. There is a slight gap on the bottom, the top, and a little bit on the sides of this screen protector, so it should be compatible with most cases. There's no lifting, no bubbles. Looks pretty good. So now I'm going to show you how good the blue light filter is, and we're going to use these two cards to do that. These are anti-blue light blockers. If I shine blue light on here, it will turn purple, and I'll show you that right now. So if I put on the blue light on this little card, you can see that it instantly turns purple. So you know that it's actually getting the full brightness of the blue light. But now I'm going to take the card and I'm going to put it behind the tempered glass to kind of show you how it blocks out that blue light. So you saw how this one reacted. Let's put the glass over the blue light blocker and we'll turn on our blue light again. And you can see that it is not turning purple. And to show you this is working, here's the card that I have that doesn't have the blue light blocker. Turns purple immediately. And then over here you can see that it is blocking that blue light. Which one would you rather have? I don't know about you, but I'll take the FLOLAB. And just to show you that this card does work, I'll remove the card and you can see that it immediately turns purple. So not too bad so far. Now let's test out the durability with a drop and a scratch test. All right, so we're going to start off at 2 feet. Moving on to 3 feet. 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet, 7 feet. So this screen protector also lasted up until a 7-foot drop. Now let's move on to the scratch test. So we're going to start off our test with number 5. Then we'll move on to number 6. And then finally number 7. And if we take a closer look, you can see no scratches at the number 5, ever so slight at the number 6, and about the same at a number 7. So scratch resistance seems to be pretty standard for tempered glass. So installation for the screen protector wasn't too bad. There were still some bubbles. It does seem like the alignment for the screen protector was slightly off on some of the edges. The blue light filter works excellent. It lasted up until a 7-foot drop, and scratch resistance is standard for tempered glass. So now that we've tested out the scratch resistance of the tempered glass, let's test out the scratch resistance of the rear camera protectors. So again, we're going to start off our test with the number 5. Then we'll move on to a number 6. And then finally a number 7. Oop, that cracked. Okay. So if we take a closer look, you can see that there are no scratches at the number 5. There are slight at a number 6, and I actually cracked the glass at a number 7. So scratch resistance seems to be standard for tempered glass. So as you saw, each one of these screen protectors has its own features, and it's made for each individual's needs. And for my needs, I think my favorite one is going to be the anti-glare matte glass. It's super smooth. It also did pretty good in the drop test, and I just love the way it looks on my phone. But which one of these screen protectors was your favorite and why? Let me know in the comments below. And if you guys want to pick any of these up, and if you guys want to pick up any of these screen protectors up yourself, I will be putting product links in the video description. And if you guys enjoyed the video, please let me know by hitting the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.